Dundale, Sarah Trudeau,
Here.
Dee Sweet,
Here.
Kylie Vadnais.
Here.
We have quorum. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Chris, Kylie's mic isn't working.
This one works. So.
Oh, okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda, I'm looking for confirmation of our meeting posting.
I can confirm that tonight's meeting was posted at all designated locations.
Thank you. Board, I'm looking for an approval of the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Cindy and a second by Esme. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. 1.6 on our agenda is public comment. I have a couple in this room before we go to the virtual setting. First is Eric Iverson. If you would please come to the microphone.
Members of the school board, administration, fellow staff members, and members of the community. The famous children's author.
I can't hear him.
Microphone is not on.
Is it on now? Can you hear me?
Yes. that
Yes.
works.
Yes, check, check.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Members of the school board, administration, fellow staff members, and members of the community. A famous children's author once said, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. These words came from, of course, Dr. Seuss, who wrote The Lorax in 1971, 50 years ago. He was referring to the environmental destruction that was going on at the time, but these words are relevant to us as educators and perhaps to everyone and in life in general. We have our own Lorax right here at Bayfield in the embodiment of Mr. Rick Erickson. Any resemblance to the cartoon character is merely coincidental, I assure you. But instead of speaking for the trees, he is speaking for us, the staff and faculty at Bayfield School. Both Rick and former school board member Glenn Carlson have been working on wage equity and trying to correct the inequity of the past. As a social studies teacher, I try to teach our students about some of the big ideas out there. Those values which we endear ourselves as Americans. Civil rights and social justice are just some of those big ideas. We are best when we try to help level the playing field for not just some, but for all. Wage equity is one of those big ideas. And it is important for not only for some, but for all. We have staff that have dedicated themselves to this community for many years, and they should be recognized and rewarded for their efforts. Wage equity is also important for staff morale, which I must say has been really lacking these days. This has been a long year for everyone, and we still have a few weeks to go. I am hoping that the board approves the wage equity plan. I know that most of us will surely appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Also in the room, we have Lori Erickson. If you would please come to the mic.
Is the mic on? Was it this black, the black thing? Okay. First of all, I just want to say I am an early childhood educator. I am typically speaking to 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. Public speaking is not my thing. So just wanted to make sure you all understood that. But bonjour, hello. Lori Erickson, Indigenous, town of Bayfield in Dunjaba. Gawin, Nindu De Masin, Gikanu Mage Indao. My name is Lori Erickson. I've been a resident of the community for almost 27 years now. I'm honored to be an educator in this district. Miigwech for this opportunity to address the Bayfield School District Board of Education. Although I have worked in the district for over 20 years, this is the first time I have had the courage to stand up at a board meeting and speak my truth. I started working in the district as a special education paraprofessional, and I knew nothing about what was to come for me and what a wonderful career I would have as an educator. I was fortunate to obtain my early childhood special education teaching license approximately 15 years ago. Since that time, I've seen so many changes in the education system and here at the district. I believe that many of the changes have had a very positive impact on our students, our staff, and the unique communities that are served by this district. I'm proud of these changes and the hard work that the district has done. As someone who loves the students and families that live within the district, I have chosen to stay here in the district, although the current inequities within the teacher's salary schedule have led to a feeling of discontent. It is disheartening, to say the least, to work year after year in our district, only to see newly hired teachers come into the district and sometimes be placed significantly higher on the salary schedule, regardless of years of experience. We are again into the hiring season, and if these inequities continue, I do believe that morale will continue to decline. I'm not advocating that newly hired teachers be compensated less. In fact, I appreciate that the district honors full years of experience for new hires. I am, however, strongly advocating that the district resident teachers be given the same respect and that our years of experience are also fully honored. I really do truly understand how a series of unintended consequences led to this issue. And now it's time to correct these inequities. Members of the teaching staff have been working to correct this problem for several years. I'm extremely appreciative that the school board and administration established a committee to dive into these equity issues. I have seen several staff members working countless hours to rectify this, and I appreciate that very much. I believe the work has been done. The inequities have been described, solutions have been presented, and now it's time for the school board to honor the work of the teachers who have been working with the children and families in our communities for many years. Thank you, Chi Miigwech, for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I truly hope that you will act on this agenda item in a manner that positively addresses teacher compensation equity. Chi Miigwech, Miyu.
Thank you, Ms. Lori. Is there anybody on the virtual end who would like to give public comment?
I would.
All right, Liz, we can hardly hear you.
Oh,
But-
okay. Let me, I
It
can,
might be our end,
can you hear me now?
kind of.
Okay. Well, I'll just speak up. I'll use my communication training. How about now? Can you hear me now? No?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
better. Thank
Okay.
you.
You bet. On a side note, for what it's worth, this isn't what I've prepared, but I applaud Lori Erickson and everything that she just said. Well done. First off, I would like to thank the board, administration, staff, and students of Bayfield Schools for the positive experience I have had this past school year. In spite of everything, this has been, and this is not hyperbole, one of the better years of teaching I have had in a long time. I've really enjoyed my time here. I recently learned that my position, one of 2 English language positions at the high school, is potentially being eliminated. In light of the board discussing adding more elementary positions to help lessen the achievement gap, I figured it was a good time to make an appeal to keep both English teachers at the high school. When making the case of lessening the achievement gap for the elementary students, Using that same logic of helping students catch up, the high school students have far less time to catch up before graduating. I am particularly concerned about the students who will be juniors and seniors next year, as they have had a notable challenge this past year and a half with online and hybrid learning. This is especially concerning when it comes to teaching the writing process, something that takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. If there is only one English teacher teaching all of the English and literature classes, it makes teaching the writing process incredibly challenging, especially when you look at class size. This year's sophomores, next year's juniors, have a larger class of, I believe, 32 currently. That's a lot for any classroom, but when you add any junior who didn't pass English this year, those numbers could be upwards of 36 and 38 students. Even without COVID restrictions, it's implausible to fit that many students in a standard size classroom. The incoming freshmen have 30 students. Data and studies tell us over and over again that class size does matter, and students will do better in a class of 15 to 25 students than compared with students who are in a class of over 30. And email me if you want links to that data. Another thing to keep in mind is that I have been acting as the ELL support teacher for the non-English speaking student in the high school. After I attended some trainings online, he was placed in my study hall so I could support his English and also work with him daily for other classes. The plan was that I would continue working with him, coaching one-on-one for next year. If my position is eliminated, the district is still legally accountable to provide services to him. Furthermore, if you continue to offer online classes in the fall to students who have health issues in their families or kids who can't get a vaccine, I am currently teaching 2 online classes in the middle school as well as the freshmen and sophomores in person. So I would be happy to continue teaching online for any student who needs it. A side effect of having a one-person department is the lack of any electives in the future. Having taught many electives throughout the years, Native American literature, environmental lit, drama, film appreciation, Shakespeare, etc., I know the impact that a semester elective can have on young learners. If a student can connect with an elective they care about, it can really encourage a love of learning in school. Also, with my master's in curriculum and instruction, I should be qualified to teach any college level classes as well. In fact, I taught as an adjunct professor at Northland College a number of years ago. If the high school is moving toward an 8-period day, that makes room for electives. As English is the only subject that students need 4 credits of, I feel strongly that having 2 English teachers at Bayfield High School is in our students' best interest. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Liz. Is there anybody else on the virtual end who would like to give public comment? Pat, you just have your camera on so we can make sure it's you, or do you have something to share? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to 1.7, approval of meeting minutes. We have March 15, 2020 and April 29, 2020. And then executive session minutes or notes, I guess.
Motion approved.
Both sets? Both? Cindy? Both of them? All right, we have a motion to approve by Cindy, a second by Kylie. Any question, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 2.1 on our agenda this evening is Cultural Connections Trip to Guatemala Summer 2022 presentation. Kathy?
Kathy, are you there?
We could come back to it if. I mean, she gave a pretty detailed overview here. But we could come back to it, or she can be on the agenda for next time. We're gonna move.
Come back to it. I'll see if she's-
We're gonna move on to 3.1. Any future agenda items from board members?
No.
3.2, School Board Teacher Negotiation Committee.
We did meet,
We did meet.
and it's in discussion now on the agenda.
We did meet last week and again at the finance last week. And so all the items are on the agenda for this evening. Finance Committee. We met also, Sarah, Cindy, myself, and all the admin. We discussed vouchers, the tribal honor banquet, wage equity, teacher negotiations, special ed staffing needs, new HR coordinator position, new agricultural coordinator position, new elementary teachers, purchase of Neola administrative guidelines, and the 21-22 budget. It was a nice long meeting. I wasn't looking. Moving on, 4.1 through 4.8, administrative reports. Any questions, board?
Motion to approve 4.1 through 4.8.
I had a couple of questions.
Do you want a second or motion? Then we'll have
Oh.
discussion.
Okay. Yes, I can second the motion.
We have a motion by Cindy and a second by Kylie in discussion.
So in the middle school, high school report, I noticed it said non-graduating letters also sent home. I was wondering if that's in reference to students who aren't on track to graduate, and if there are any seniors who aren't graduating.
Shelley?
This is Shelley. We do have 3 students who are not on track to graduate. Most students, if they're within 1 credit, we do let them still walk with their peers, but these students, the 3 that received the letter are not within that. Part of the letter was asking families to contact me if there's any future plan that we can develop together as a team to meet their needs. But I just want to make note that the whole entire high school staff has worked diligently over the last 2 years to get these students caught up, and it wasn't fruitful.
Thanks, Shelley. Are there, I know, in national reporting, it shows high school students are behind on their credits or are failing classes at unprecedented rates due to the pandemic. Are there students who are behind in credits in high school and are going to need credit recovery next year?
We do have some students that fall in that category, and in our middle school, we have sent home letters, I want to say at least 5 or 6 weeks ago, telling families that we recommend them to come to summer school. We're not forcing students to come to summer school for per se credit recovery, but more for skill building, so they're not that much further behind from their peers when they do come into the high school. We know that nationwide we're going to see that gap. I know we did all of the state assessment and national assessments that were required this year, so we're waiting to see how, we've made gains for many, many years of closing that gap. So right now we're just wondering, how far this set us back. But like you said, it's a national trend, so it's not just Bayfield students that will be behind it. We're going to see this as a worldwide issue, really, because there was a whole new ballgame of learning virtually. And I want to say some of our successful students were the ones who weren't successful in the building. So, there is a little silver lining around the cloud for some of those families as well.
Thanks, Shelley. I appreciate that.
I do have a question. Did I overlook it or something somewhere where, is there gonna be an 8th grade graduation this year? There is? Okay. I haven't seen anything on it.
I didn't have anything in the notes, but I did just meet with the staff today to discuss how that's going to look. And I'm waiting to hear back from the mitigation team, how many people we can invite if we have it in the gymnasium. The high school is at the big top. I think that's a little too much for an 8th grade promotion ceremony, but we still want to have something to recognize our 8th graders. We discussed possibly having an outdoors one, but with northern Wisconsin weather, we don't know if it'll rain, snow, or be sunshine on June 9th. So we still want to try to plan for a gymnasium type promotion ceremony with limited guests.
No question.
Question been called. All those in favor, please say aye.
I
Motion carries. 5.1 vouchers.
I will make a motion to approve vouchers totaling $525,504.51 for the month of April.
A second.
We have a motion by Sarah and a second by Esme. Could we have a roll call, please, Linda?
Nicole Boyd,
Yes.
Cindy Garrity.
Yes.
Stephanie Martinson,
Yes.
Kylie Gavin,
Yes.
D Sweet,
Yes.
Sarah Trudeau.
Motion carries. 6.1 wage equity effort presentation. I can't access that link.
And
Yeah, it says access denied.
Can and Rick is going to present for us, board.
Are we ready? All right. Well, thanks again for allowing me to present. And I know I've done this presentation several times. So I was told the 1 hour presentation from Thursday was a little bit much. It showed my passion though. So we're going to try to keep this short because I know you've heard most of what we're going to talk about. So just real quickly, I want to reiterate actually what Lori had said, that there have been several people who've worked very hard on this. Randy and Glenn and I worked for a long time, specifically on the teacher part and the non-affiliated administrative part, but we also had people working on the support staff end of it. So what you're going to see, because we've already talked about the support staff and that's already been approved, and there are a couple of recommendations that are still on the table. And I do see on the agenda tonight that the teacher item is on the agenda. I don't see the non-affiliated administrative staff on there, so I don't know if you can take action on that, but there are 3 pieces we're still asking for you to consider. We really want to see everybody in this picture together, and we want to see everybody kind of on a unified system. And so one of the things that was approved for support staff was to create a salary schedule that kind of mimics the teaching staff salary schedule. And so we created a schedule for the support staff that has 1% increments for 24 years. So the groups that still don't have that are the non-affiliated and the administration. And so right now it's kind of a random process, and we'd like to see some regularity to that. So we would recommend that we develop a system where for non-affiliated and administration that we do each year we do CPI plus a 1% increase, so that they're getting an increase more than just the cost of living increase. All right, so those are 2 items, and I'm thinking of those as 2 pieces: a non-affiliated salary schedule and an administrative salary schedule. The teacher part of it, there are 2 recommendations sitting there. There's an option 1 and option 2. I'm going to go through again very briefly why we're asking, why we are where we are. The first option is asking for a full correction right now, and that cost would be about $102,000, and that would bring everybody, including everybody who's been here, everybody who is here, it would give them, it would honor their full years of experience. The second option would be an incremental option where we get all of the people who are here prior to 2014 up to their years of experience. And then people who are hired between 2014 and now, we would get them within 2 years of their full years of experience. And then next year, bring them 1 year closer. And then the following year, bring them up to speed. So that would be an incremental move. And the difference in the cost, obviously long-term, it's going to be the same cost. The difference is whether you choose to do it all in one shot, which I highly recommend. All right, so if you want to move to the next slide. So just, and again, I'm going to try to go through this quickly, but this is just an example of the problem that exists right now. What this shows is it shows our current salary schedule. It shows an example of 2 teachers. The first teacher you can see is a teacher who has, they both have, oh, is that that's example 2. Can you go, is there one before that? Maybe I put the wrong one in place. Maybe it's down further. Well, what it should, what it should have, that might be it, right? That's it. That was it. Yep. Sorry, I probably put that in the wrong place. These are 2 teachers who both have 15 years of total teaching experience. Teacher 1 has all 15 of those years are in the district. And the second teacher was recently hired this year. So these are 2 teachers, both with masters or in the master's lane, 15 years of total experience. One of them all in the district, one of them, none of them in the district. And you can see the discrepancy there. And that's what we say is creating this discontent among teachers. And these are the resident teachers who are ending up making less. And that's very unusual. Most schools across the country give incoming teachers not their full years of experience, whereas people who've been there get their full years. So we're kind of reversed of that process, and we really want everybody to have full years, credit for their full years. So that's where we are, and these are a couple of examples of why we got there, how we got there. In 2014, we created a new salary schedule. The salary schedule on the left was our old salary schedule. Act 10 came into place in 2011. Things got thrown into turmoil. Fortunately, unlike a lot of districts, we created a new salary schedule, but to place people on the new salary schedule resulted in changes that resulted, like Lori said, in unforeseen circumstances. And so there were things, this was very purposeful, but what we did was we, and Randy and I both worked on this new salary schedule. I'm very proud of it. I would defend this salary schedule to anybody. I think it's a good schedule. But what it did was it took away, it changed where we were placed. We used to be placed on years of experience as steps going down, and then I was based on your degree and your credits going across. Those are the lanes. And we condensed that into 3 lanes that are simply based on DPI licensing requirements. And we changed the steps, the vertical steps, to being based on educator effectiveness. So it changed the concept of how we did salaries. Okay. And so then the second thing that created a problem is we used to, when we would change lanes from provisional to lifetime or lifetime to masters, we would just make a horizontal move. And under the new salary schedule and under the policy that was developed, instead, we added $2,000 to your current salary. So if you were the $50,782, we would add $2,000 to that, making it $52,782, then shift you over and then find the step that was closest to that, but not less than that. And so it resulted in people moving back 3 steps in the vertical direction. And so then what happens, and you can go to the next one. So that's what led, and this is the same slide you saw before, that's what leads to this, is that we had people moving backwards in 2014 because of the new salary schedule. We have people moving backwards when they're not losing money. I mean, we're not saying they're losing money. It just was a backwards vertical move. And now when we bring people in, some of them are being given their full years of experience as if those vertical steps are counted as years. And so that's created this dilemma. And so that's what we're asking to correct. The recommendation is that we use it like a years of experience to some extent, that we go back to using those vertical steps as years of experience, with an exception, because they're not automatic increases. They're actually based on our educator effectiveness. So we have to complete our educator effectiveness program to get those steps. So if you complete your educator effectiveness successfully, then those steps would pretty much represent years of experience. But if you don't complete those successfully, then you would hold on that step until you go through a plan to advance. So those are our recommendations. And like I said, we have 2 options there. And one is the full cost of $102,000. that would catch everybody up right now. And then what we'd like is we'd like to develop a policy where that's just what we do from here on out. That when we bring people in, we give them their full years of experience. That way we're all treated the same, and we hopefully will not have this problem any longer. So does anybody have any questions?
What's the educator effectiveness program?
The state requires that every school district have some type of teacher evaluation program, and you have the option. You can create your own, or you can. There are a couple of models that a lot of people use. We currently use one that is on. It's a 3-year cycle, and the first 2 years, in all 3 years, you create a student learner objective. So you have a student-oriented goal. You also have a personal professional goal. And so each year you're setting, and we set them ourselves. Sometimes we do a school-wide goal, but the purpose is for teacher growth and for teachers to improve their pedagogy. So the first 2 years are pretty much self-evaluation to some extent, but our administrators do come walk through and see what we're doing. And then the third year is a more intensive supervisor coming through and doing more evaluation. So the teacher's salary schedule right now that we had up there is set in 3-year increments, where the first 2 years are 1% increases, and the third year, that's the summative year, that's a 3% increase. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yep. Other questions? Did I make it? All right. Chimigwich, appreciate it.
I would like to make a motion to approve the recommendation with the first option, option number 1.
Are you making a motion under 6.2?
Yes.
I want to second Sarah's motion to just get everybody caught up right now in one step.
Is there any more discussion? Any questions? We have a motion by Sarah and a second by Esme to accept the recommendation with option 1. Could we have a roll call, please, Linda?
Nicole Boyd,
Yes.
Stephanie Martinson,
Yes.
Sarah Trudeau,
Yes.
Cindy Garrity,
Yes.
Kylie Vadnais,
Yes.
Dee Sweet.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you for your work, Rick and Randy and our Glenn. Moving on to new business, 7. Is Kathy on there yet?
She didn't respond to it, so we need to table that.
Moving, before we go to new business, if we could table 2.1 to the next meeting, I'll make that motion. I have a motion by myself and a second by Cindy to table item 2.1. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. 7.1, consider staff retirement. Gary Smith. I'll second the motion. Motion by Cindy and a second by myself to accept Gary's retirement. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion
couldn't hear
carries.
Cindy.
I'm sorry?
I couldn't hear Cindy.
Your
I don't know
mic
if her
is
mic's on.
turned up. See it? It's like turning away from, there you go.
Thank you.
Can
you hear me now?
Yippers.
7.2 with the addition of Gary, whose years of service by 10, well, 10-ish. We'd like to recognize this year's retirees. Man, many of them were here when I went to school 20 plus years ago in this school. Karen Perry, 28 years of service. Miss Ide, 29 years of service. Barb Helser, 2 years of service. Barb Ralph with 11 years of service. Tom Steckling, 18 years of service. And Ann Sullivan, 31 years of service. Thank you all so much.
Yes, thank you.
I would just like to say, on top of all that, thank you too, because you guys, without you guys being here to help support all of our students and staff through all these years with helping everybody grow, it just helps us where we're at. So miigwech to you all.
7.3, removal of family first coronavirus response act language. Randy? Sure.
So we had put in place that we would like to continue the FFCRA language. But now with the COVID vaccine readily available, staff that opt not to take the vaccinations are getting a 2-week paid leave. So that's why we were asking for this to be taken out now.
Is it still if you get COVID though, or you have to be a caregiver for someone?
If you're quarantined,
You're asking to remove the part that says if you're on quarantine?
yes.
Okay.
Well, actually the whole part, because really, if you're vaccinated and your family's vaccinated, you really shouldn't have to take care of anyone or.
I mean, I do like the incentive to vaccinate.
Yes.
I mean, and really that's been the district stance. Unless there's like a medical reason, are we
Right, we could do that.
allowing? Or
Because
Seems
this
like-
has happened where staff quarantined, didn't get vaccinated. And
And now they have to quarantine because they're not sick, but they were exposed because
Right.
they chose not to get a vaccine that's available
correct,
and they don't have a medical reason.
right.
That's silly.
So should we just take that language out then? And that if there's a reason to quarantine or to take care of someone or?
no?
Sarah?
Sarah, do you have a comment?
I just don't know how we define the medical reason to not get the vaccine. Like who makes that call?
Well, they have to provide their documentation to the school district
From a doctor.
From a doctor.
from a
correct.
doctor.
And the doctor has to say that this person should not get the vaccine.
Correct.
Has a medical excuse. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
we don't have to.
I know, I was just.
We think
curious
there's
as to
really-
how you do that. I didn't know doctors were providing those.
They will if you have something,
Okay,
but for the most part, they have not been. For like,
No, I don't-
haven't had
I
a
think it's
situation.
Extremely rare.
right.
yeah, I think if you make the choice to not get the vaccine, then that's fine, it's your choice, but also if you have to quarantine, because then should be our choice to not pay them for that, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Rick has a comment. Rick Erickson.
Thank you. I just have a question. I know that there are some cases where people have been vaccinated but still get it. What about that situation?
That would be different.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that would be included.
That's
Yep.
what I,
That's sick leave.
yeah,
The sick-
that's,
yeah.
Okay.
Instead of paid family vacation that covers the COVID
All right. Thank you.
issue. If you don't have it.
Is there a risk that there's an unvaccinated staff member who feels sick but comes to school anyways because
We have on-site
you have the
testing.
testing?
Yep.
It's a good question.
I'm fine removing it. Or
I'm fine with
adjusting it, adjusting it. Does anybody want to take action?
Need a
It is
motion?
a policy. We have a motion by Esme to amend the policy as presented.
Second.
And a second by Cindy. Any further discussion or question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
I'll abstain.
Sarah abstains. I can't tell how far the delay is. So I'll try to go
Delay
slower.
is Just me muting and unmuting, I think.
Oh, okay. Still one abstention. 6 yay for 5 yay. 7.4, consider CDC latest mask update.
Nick, are you on the call?
I am on the call. Let me get my video going here. Okay, if you can see me. So the bottom line is the CDC doesn't recommend any changes for K-12 for the remainder of the school year. They did come out with the major changes for those who are fully vaccinated meaning both doses of Moderna or Pfizer plus 2 weeks, or 1 dose of J&J plus 2 weeks. That did not apply to the school initially, and they came out this past Saturday with a clarification statement. K-12 schools are recommended to maintain masking and social distancing in their previous recommendation for the remainder of the school year. And then in the coming weeks, we should expect an update for next school year as to what should be expected. So the mitigation, and with this, coincidentally, and I find it funny, the CDC, the state of Wisconsin, and Bayfield County are all in alignment with this agreement. So the mitigation committee is in agreement with that recommendation as well.
So no change, no consideration.
No change is the recommendation.
So it's info only at this point. Thank you, Nick, for that clarification for everybody.
You're welcome.
7.5, consider 21-22 special education staffing needs. Stephanie? I thought I saw Stephanie on there.
Hi there. I believe the board, both last month and then at the finance committee meeting, the board received information regarding the staffing needs for next year. Essentially, in looking at doing a caseload analysis of our current special ed case managers, indicates to me, based on those numbers, that that our current staff does need an additional case manager, largely with an emphasis on intellectual disabilities. Currently, our teachers are multi-categorical teachers, meaning they're supporting all disability areas. And what we're seeing is, especially in the middle and high school levels, as classes are more academically, they're separated a little more, they're not a holistic approach. Many times the students with intellectual disabilities have needs that are more of a functional nature, where they need independent living skills, they need functional academics, and it's really difficult for middle school and high school case managers to accommodate both the in-class academic needs of students with emotional behavioral disabilities, learning disabilities, as well as the functional needs of students with intellectual disabilities. So that's the basis for that recommendation.
Any questions from the board? We do need action. And at the finance committee, we did make the recommendation that this be approved for the 21-22 budget with funding through COVID dollars, additional COVID dollars the district will be receiving.
I'll motion to approve that recommendation from the finance committee.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Esme, second by Cindy. Could we have a roll call, please, Linda?
Esme Martinson,
Yes.
Nicole Boyd,
Yes.
Sarah Trudeau,
Yes.
Cindy Garrity,
Yes.
Kylie Vadnais,
Yes.
Steve Sweet.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Stephanie. 7.6, consider 21-22 new positions, 5 elementary teachers. Mike?
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Just got the data that I provided the committee on Thursday. Yeah, that's how my days are running right now. But anyways, more or less what we're looking at here is we knew there were going to be delays with our elementary students. And the younger they are, the more delays that there are showing up for us. So in talking to the staff and looking at what are we going to do to help close those gaps as quickly as possible, we started looking at the idea of using some of that COVID relief funds, the ESSER funds, to hire some more teachers. And I met with each group, K2 and 3-5, to look at what those needs might be. And most of the grade levels were in agreement that, you know, having one teacher that could focus in on those students and get to know those students and work with those teachers collaboratively in a co-teaching environment would be the best route. As the kids get older, and if you look at the data, some of it suggests that the learning gaps are not quite as big for the older kids. So that's where we could possibly get by with 5 instead of 6 teachers, is have 4th and 5th grade combining and sharing one of those teachers as a resource, devoting one to each grade level, K through 3, I'm sorry, and then one to share. So I don't know if you guys have any questions about that. We're looking at not having classrooms, obviously, because we don't have space, but they would be working collaboratively with the grade level teachers, doing the planning, and then joining during instruction time where they could, you know, make our groups smaller and provide some more intensive instruction.
Any questions from the board?
This is coming out of the COVID money also. Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Cindy, a second by Esme. Any more discussion questions?
Yeah, sorry, Randy. So is it then included in the initial budget for all the new positions? Okay. And then what happens next year when we don't get, if there isn't COVID money with these positions?
Hello?
Right. There will be additional money that we won't be using all of the COVID money for this year coming up. So we'll have more money to roll over. Plus, I really feel like we're going to be getting more money.
And they're all under contract too.
Contractual.
I think this is a great use for the money. I would like to just add that I hope that while it could be said that whoever's hired, these 5 positions, I'd like there to be full disclosure that these are temporary positions and they might have a change to stay at the school in the district. This is a temporary position to bridge that gap. And I think that should be included in the hiring process.
Temporary at 2+ years.
Right. We're thinking 3 years. The
Yeah.
COVID money will be there until 2025. And I just don't know who we would get if we said these are only 3-year positions. I don't know who would apply for something like that. Also, we'll be having some retirement So once somebody retires, those people could slide into a permanent position.
In the offering, you can explain
Mhm.
how the position is being funded. I don't think it needs to be advertised in that manner because somebody would have the ability to accept or decline at that stage, knowing full disclosure.
Yeah,
So-
I don't think it necessarily needs to be advertised that way, as long as the applicants know that, during the
Correct.
hiring process, that is disclosed to them.
Call a question. Could we have a roll call, please, Linda?
Nicole Boyd,
Yes.
Sarah Trudeau,
Yes.
Dee Sweet,
Yes.
Cindy Garrity,
Yes.
Kylie Badness,
Yes.
Esme Martinson.
Yes. Motion carries. 7.7, consider 21-22 new position, Human Resources Coordinator.
Randy, do you want to take that or do you want me to do it? I can do it. So this position has been before the Finance Committee. So this is just bringing it forward to the entire board. The scope of human resources is really extensive and often there are really significant delicate issues, legal issues of that sort. We don't have anybody on staff who is formally trained in human resources. And with this challenging year, that was self-evident in just all of the variations of human resources subjects that we had to work through. So this position would be tasked with the essential goal and functions that you have before you in the job description, and would work under our finance manager umbrella. So Randy would be the direct supervisor there.
We talked about changing the qualification to bachelor's preferred. And again, this may not be a forever need in the district, but it is a immediate need that we've been battling for the last few years at the admin level, with just needing extra support in HR and everybody taking on extra duties.
Once again, this is in the budget with COVID dollars.
I think it's a no-brainer, and I think it'll be great because we need to work on our hiring process and recording when and why people leave,
Equity.
and yeah, make sure
All these
employees
issues.
are happy and being evaluated because of the new salary schedule. So yeah, I'm in favor. You want a motion to approve it?
I second.
We have a motion by Esme and a second by Sarah. Could we have a roll call, please? Linda?
Cindy Garrity,
Yes.
Esme Martinson,
Yes.
Kylie Badness,
Yes.
Dee Sweet,
Yes.
Nicole Boyd,
Yes.
Sarah Trudeau.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. 7.8, consider 21-22 new position, agricultural coordinator.
This is another position that the Finance Committee has not had an opportunity to look at carefully, so it's coming forward to the board. You have before you the job goal qualifications that span the scope of administrative duties, specific garden growing duties, and then educational duties. So this three-pronged approach to enhancing our existing agriculture is another gap. And we see that this position would be that person to have consistency and have full support available to our teaching staff, as well as help to enhance and move in a direction with our food service program that is incorporating local ingredients and really focusing on the entire child and the entire person here at the district, and taking a look at what we're eating, where it's coming from. So bringing that not only nutrition forward, but also
the cultural component that's reflective of who we are here in this region.
My motion to approve.
I'll second. We have a motion by Cindy and a second by Esme. Any further question or discussion, board? If not, could we have a roll call, please, Linda?
Boyd,
Yes.
Cindy Garrity,
Yes.
Esme Martinson,
Yes.
Sarah Trudeau,
Yes.
B Sweet,
Yes.
Kylie Vadnais.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. 7.9, consider purchase of Neola administrative guidelines.
So the original vetting committee for the Neola policies, when they were going through that process, did discuss purchasing the administrative guidelines in the future. And that future is now. We have several policies that reference administrative guidelines. So it would behoove us to approve the purchase of those administrative guidelines. There are about 400. 10,500, I believe, was the
And it's a one-time purchase.
and a one-time purchase.
And then it kind of just wraps up in our Neola subscription.
Correct.
Who's going to take on the responsibility, though, of going through all of them? Admin policy committee? Good question. Because it's going to be a big job again, like when we adopted Neola originally. I can't imagine that we're going to adopt all 400 admin guidelines.
Right. Policy?
It'll probably be up to admin to go through first
Or
and
an
then
ad
bring the
hoc.
policy with their recommendations like we did when we had ours, so.
Not it. Cindy and I did our time. When we adopted Neola, we spent like 6.5 days going through all these policies. So
They featured them.
we did our time.
They did this year.
But I really support the adoption of those and think that if we have the staff capacity to take it on, I'm good with the purchase. And I'm good with the one lump sum purchase. Is that what you would recommend, Randy? I'll make the motion.
One second.
With a motion by myself, second by Cindy. Could we have a roll call, please, Linda?
Kylie Vadnais,
Yes.
B Sweet,
Yes.
Sarah Trudeau,
Yes.
Esme Martinson,
Yes.
Cindy Garrity,
Yes.
Nicole Boyd.
Yes. Motion carries. 7.10 on our agenda, consider 21-22 initial budget.
Motion to approve the initial budget.
Oh, maybe they couldn't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Right,
Randy's telling a novel over here.
Our federal sources are estimated. It's based on this year's amount.
Wait, does anybody want to make a second on Sarah's motion?
Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
In discussion. Go for it, Randy.
That's okay. Our federal sources are estimated based on this year's amounts. Also, we were going to be carrying over 600,000 of the ESSER funds from just this year yet, and we'll be getting about 3.5 times more for next year. But we haven't gotten those numbers just yet. So this is all based on assumptions. Some of the things that are in the budget that we do know is our health insurance is up 15% for next year, which is about a $249,000 cost. The new staffing positions, I have 630,000, but again, that depends on who we hire. If they're a family policy or a single policy, I mean, that's a $26,000 difference. So just to let you know, this is really just an initial budget and it's just my best guess at this point. Also, I did include, you wanted to look at the 300 objects or the 310 and 327 objects.
Yeah,
If you look at the second page, there's an encumbered amount from a lot of the things that Joel's been bringing forward. That alone this year is 639,000 or 6,900. I can't talk right now. 693,000. So if some of that does not get done this year, we're going to have to push some of that back until next year. So that's why there's such a big high price tag in those objects. I know today Joel and Beth and I were talking that some of the projects probably aren't going to be done right away this summer, and we might have to push them back already. So
Due to availability of things like steel, for example.
and lumber that went up 4 times.
Yeah, and cost of lumber is through the roof and.
Yeah.
I don't see it coming down. We're gonna be biting the bullet just at a different time.
Correct. Any questions?
We have a motion by Sarah and a second by Cindy. Could we have a roll call, please, Linda?
Nicole Boyd,
Yes.
Cindy Garrity.
Yes.
Esme Martinson,
Yes.
Sarah Trudeau,
Yes.
Dee Sweet,
Yes.
Kylie Gadden.
Yes. Thank you, board. Thank you, Randy. Nice job. We have several items to take care of an executive session in accordance with Wisconsin statute 19.85. Consider admin salary request. Consider FTEs for 21-22. Consider elementary teacher hire. Consider elementary teacher hires and teacher salary negotiations.
Motion go in the executive.
Second. We have a motion by Cindy and a second by Esme. Could we have a roll call, please, Linda?
Kylie Gadden,
Yes.
Dee Sweet,
Yes.
Sarah Trudeau,
Yes.
Esme Martinson,
Yes.
Cindy Garrity,
Yes.
Nicole Boyd.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. We will return to